The average rent for a San Francisco apartment has hit $3,300. In some American neighborhoods, electricity costs have exploded by 267%. Even the RAM in your laptop has tripled, and it's all being driven by AI. So how can a software program in a server room change the price of dirt under your feet? To find out, you have to look at the land. To run AI models like ChatGPT or Claude at a global scale, you don't just need a few servers in a basement. You need a massive data center. These aren't office buildings, they are vast facilities that can span hundreds of acres. It needs to be flat, it needs to be close to high-voltage transmission lines, it needs access to fiber optic trunks. And that's a problem. It's the exact same land required for residential housing. In the past, if a developer saw a plot of flat land near a city, it would be a prime location for real estate. They would build 300 units of starter housing, and they would deal with zoning boards, school districts, and traffic studies. Today, when a developer bids on that land, they aren't competing with another local builder. They're competing with Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and Meta, companies with cash reserves that dwarf the GDP of small nations. For the landowner, it isn't even a choice. And the consequences for the local housing market are devastating. A residential developer needs financing. They need distinct permits. They might back out. The tech giant, they pay in cash. They pay 50 to 70% over market value. They don't need a school system. They don't need a sewer expansion for 500 families. They just need the land. The result is visible in places like Loudoun County, Virginia. They call it Data Center Alley, and the local government loves it. They pull in nearly $900 million a year in tax revenue from the data centers. But try buying a house there. A 2025 study from George Mason University confirmed that these hubs drive house prices through the roof. It's a paradox. Usually living next to an industrial noise factory lowers property values. Here, the influx of high-salaried tech workers, combined with limited remaining land, drives intense competition. In New Albany, Ohio, the arrival of Meta and Google didn't just bring jobs, it brought million-dollar listings that got snapped up and pushed the local middle class out of their own zip code. The data center acts as a black hole for real estate. It doesn't just occupy space, it permanently removes land from residential use. Every acre covered in servers is an acre where a starter home never gets built. That loss of land is bad enough, but the way AI is reshaping the housing that does exist may be even worse. Rent prices used to reflect supply and demand. A property manager would check the building across the street, review vacancies, and set a price. If an apartment sat empty for 2 months, that money was lost. The goal was full occupancy. But today, corporate landlords don't set prices. AI-driven pricing engines do. These systems ingest millions of data points, competitor rates, lease renewal dates, local income levels, and even tenant demographics. These algorithms have discovered a cold mathematical truth that a human landlord might have missed. It's often more profitable to have empty apartments. If you have a 100-unit building and you raise the rent by 10%, you might lose 5 tenants. Normally, that would be a big problem, but AI crunches those numbers and it sees that the 95 tenants paying more outweighs the 5 who left. So the software tells the landlord to increase the price. It effectively creates an artificial floor for rent prices across an entire city. When every major apartment complex in a region uses the same software, and they do, it stops being a market and it starts to look like a cartel. Tenants face 5 to 6% annual hikes, regardless of whether the roof is leaking or the elevator's broken. The price isn't based on the quality of the housing. It's set by the algorithm and the maximum it calculates the market can handle before breaking. And this digital manipulation doesn't just stop at your rent check, it's actually changing what you see before you even buy a home. This optimization extends to the sales process itself. AI tools are now standard for enhancing property photos. It goes beyond brightening and lightening. The tools can scrub power lines, generate lush green lawns over dead dirt, and drop a sparkling virtual pool into a backyard that currently contains a rusted swing set. This isn't just marketing, it forces buyers into bidding wars based on an illusion, driving up perceived value and final sale prices. If the land grab slowly limits housing, the energy crisis puts even more pressure on residents. And the numbers here are terrifying. 5 years ago, a standard server rack in a data center drew about 5 to 10 kilowatts of power. It was like running a few hair dryers. The modern NVIDIA rack, designed specifically for AI training, is a different beast. It requires over 100 kilowatts. That is a 10-fold increase in power density. It's the thermal equivalent of parking a space heater in every square foot of a warehouse and turning them up to maximum. The US electrical grid was not built for this. It was built for a predictable world of air conditioners in the summer, lights at night, and it relies on baseload power. the steady, boring hum of electricity that you can count on. AI chips don't sleep, they run at 100% capacity, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In the PJM interconnection, the massive grid operator covering 13 states and 67 million people, this new demand is eating away at safety margins. The grid operates on a simple principle: supply must exactly match demand every single second. To accommodate this, operators hold auctions to pay power plants to stay on standby. In 2024 to 2025, the cost of these capacity payments jumped by over $9 billion. Who pays the $9 billion? It's not Microsoft or Google, it's you. The costs are passed directly to ratepayers as transmission and capacity charges. In Maryland and Ohio, projections show monthly bills jumping by $16 to $18. That isn't because someone left the lights on. It isn't because someone bought an electric car. Utilities must build billions in new substations and transmission lines to feed the data centers. Regulations let them spread that cost across all customers. This is a regressive tax. In Louisiana, residents are already battling high bills from air conditioning and storm recovery. Now, with a massive meta facility drawing more power than the entire city of New Orleans, they are effectively subsidizing the infrastructure for a trillion-dollar company's chatbot. Bloomberg's analysis of wholesale prices in places like Baltimore confirms the link. The closer you are to the data, the higher your rates. The International Energy Agency warns that by 2028, data centers could consume between 6 and 12% of total U.S. electricity. That sounds small, but that is the difference between a stable system and rolling blackouts. The bottleneck isn't power, it is the hardware that delivers it. Imagine you're a city planner, ready to build a new subdivision. You have the land, the permits, and now you need a transformer. The transformer is the gray box that steps the high voltage power down so your toaster doesn't explode. A few years ago, you could order one and get it in months. Today, the lead time is 3 years. Why? Because the tech giants have bought them all. They are pre-ordering transformers by the thousands, effectively cornering the global supply chain. They need them now, and they're willing to pay premiums that a municipal utility or housing developer simply cannot match. We are seeing the emergence of ghost neighborhoods, rows of finished houses that sit empty for a year, not because there are no buyers, but because the developer cannot get the hardware to turn the lights on. The data center didn't just take the power, it stripped the industrial supply chain of the components needed to expand the grid for anyone else. And it's not just electricity. You're now competing with the servers for the very water in your tap. High-density chips generate a large amount of heat. To keep them from melting, data centers run massive cooling systems. A mid-sized facility can use 300,000 gallons of water a day, the same as 1,000 households. In water-stressed regions like Arizona or Oregon, this is a problem. Aquifers are draining, farmers are seeing irrigation allocations cut. Meanwhile, tech companies are securing long-term water rights, effectively privatizing the water table. As water becomes scarcer, the utility costs rise for everyone. People are competing with a server farm for the water in their tap. Eventually, it hits the grocery aisle. This is where AI stops just using resources and starts driving prices up. Retailers are rolling out electronic shelf labels, digital price tags updated instantly from a central server. Walmart plans to have them in 2,000 stores by the end of 2026. On the surface, it's about efficiency. No more employees with sticker guns. In reality, it lays the groundwork for price gouging in the physical world. We already see it with things like Uber. It rains, the price goes up. Now apply that to bread. Apply it to batteries during a hurricane warning. AI sensors track foot traffic in the store. Say there's a spike in demand on a Tuesday evening. The price of pasta sauce goes up 30 cents instantly. It's micro-inflation, invisible, relentless, and automatic. This is yield management, maximizing revenue on every item, applied to everyday essentials. McKinsey estimates these systems can boost revenue by 15%. Where does that money come from? The consumer. Fixed prices are dying. Now prices are whatever the machine thinks you'll pay. But it gets even more personal. The AI knows more about your bank account than you might realize. Online, AI models analyze your browsing history, your device type, your location, and your spending habits. They determine your willingness to pay. Two people can look at the same pair of shoes and see different prices. If the AI detects that you are a high-spending shopper on a new device who rarely hesitates to buy, it'll show you a higher price. If it sees a bargain-conscious user on an older device, you might get a discount. This system erodes trust in the marketplace. You're no longer paying the market rate, but a personalized price determined by your digital profile. And then there's the hardware itself. You're paying a premium just for the scraps. The devices we rely on to access AI are getting more expensive. There's only so much capacity to make high-end chips, and building a semiconductor factory takes 5 years and around $20 billion. You can't just throw one up overnight. Right now, chip makers are shifting away from the processors and memory used in everyday devices to focus on the specialized chips AI needs, where the profits are far higher, and that affects the everyday consumer. Supply of standard RAM and SSDs is tightening. Samsung has already hiked memory prices. The result is what some are calling tech stagflation. The laptop that you buy next year will cost more than the one you bought last year, but it won't be noticeably faster. You'll pay a premium just to get what's left of the silicon scraps after the data centers have claimed the rest. And you're not just competing with the other companies anymore. You're competing with entire nations. Governments view computing power as a national security asset, just like oil reserves or aircraft carriers. Nations like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and China are pouring state funds into acquiring every available high-end chip. The Saudi government is targeting $40 billion for AI investment. When a sovereign wealth fund enters the market, price sensitivity disappears. They will pay any cost. This sets a permanent floor for component prices, breaking the usual trickle-down effect where technology gets cheaper over time. But perhaps the most insidious cost is the one you don't see until it is too late: insurance. This is where the AI decides if your home is even allowed to have value. For decades, insurance was about shared risk. Neighbors pooled resources to cover potential disasters. A human agent might inspect your house, spot a problem, and give you a month to fix it. Today, AI analyzes satellite imagery, scanning millions of properties in real time. It can spot a single weathered shingle or measure a tree branch's distance to a chimney within inches, and it doesn't issue warnings. Premiums spike or vanish without warning. Your driveway, your roof, a single tree branch. Suddenly, the AI decides you're too risky. In neighborhoods deemed high risk, homes become unbuyable. No insurance, no mortgage. Without a mortgage, the house loses all value. The AI doesn't see families or communities, it sees numbers and probabilities, and it strips away the middle class's most important asset with relentless precision. Your rent will be set at the highest the algorithm thinks you will pay. Your electricity bill helps power a server farm. Your insurance could be canceled from a satellite scan. The systems of the future are here, but right now the cost falls to you. So the question is, how much more can the market actually bear before it completely breaks? Now go check out Real Reason Humanity is Not Ready for AI Superintelligence, or click on this video instead.